Hello, everybody. I'm back. Now, excuse me for the terrible lighting, but you at least have the blessing of not seeing my ugly ass face on video and talk about fake fighting for over 20 minutes. So, what happened here on the Go Home show before Survivor Series? Obviously, Team SmackDown want a bit of payback and want to get a bit of let's just get everybody to fight in predictably with no storylines involved in this Survivor Series of three brands with not that much cohesive history of each other than it's a call-up brand. And it's not even legit storylines like, oh, the main SmackDown and Raw are undervaluing our talent, so we face off against each other to show our worth. It should have been just main roster versus NXT. I think that's what everybody's wishing. Not the everybody who flips to a dime to a different brand every week or month on SmackDown and Raw. There's no cohesiveness. There's no legit SmackDown and Raw superstar. It's just the next few months they're just going to switch up on each brand. So they just came up with Roman Reigns, Sasha Banks, and Baron Corbin discussing over opening a big entrance door to make sure either the Raw brand or the NXT brand show up. Then earlier on tonight, I gotta say it was cool seeing everybody charge up with a stupid little Jeep with a little cannon on it. Just like what DX did on WCW that one time, and they didn't even enter the arena. So that was completely cannon fodder. No pun intended. And it just came up with the women, Sasha Banks coming up like the boss and getting things hanging. Oh, you're an independent star now. Over your last few times being the sidekick to the SmackDown Women's Champion for the last several weeks. That's how it's gonna be. So team captain Sasha Banks faces off against the two brands that was Charlotte Flair coming by herself and Rhea Ripley coming with the actual NXT group from the entrance. I mean from the crowd. So they just entered up and it was like, well, how about old times for you ugly bitches? Nobody has that. Most of these women are either jobbers or just irrelevant. I'm being serious now. There's not that much legitimacy here. Two of the women coming down the SmackDown ramp were former SmackDown Women's Champions. And both are relevant in their own right. Lacey Evans hasn't picked up steam in a while since the summer. Dana Brooke, somehow we remember she has a contract. And somehow, over all this time, Nikki Cross has been irrelevant since losing that match thanks to Shayna Baszler interfering the first time and getting pinned by Sasha Banks. So obviously she's out of the window. I'm shocked there's no deception over all of this. Thanks we only had under a month of build-up for something as big as NXT coming to Survivor Series after how long we left this off. So, what happened in the triple threat match? Basic near falls. Rhea Ripley won. It wasn't that much of an impressive match. It was just Sasha Banks and Charlotte going over a couple of their moves. Then a powerbomb on the table didn't break. Rhea Ripley using her stiff British style moves sometimes on Charlotte and sometimes on Sasha, even though it looks more devastating on Sasha thanks she's smaller. Then Rhea Ripley tossed out Charlotte so she can get the pin on Sasha for NXT. That wasn't even it was just for brand supremacy. The match wasn't even that much for a triple threat. I thought it was going to be like a tag team match or something, thanks they had all these bitches out here. And yet they just accumulated to a triple threat thanks only Charlotte came alone at that time. No, she didn't, but still, just not that impressive of a triple threat match. It was cool, though, to see everybody come in, though. It's mainly the spectacle of it all. Then we had Sami Zayn backstage being called annoying by Baron Corbin. Coming around saying he wants to fight, so okay, he turned babyface after managing our Intercontinental Champion for the longest time, and how irrelevant the Intercontinental title has completely scared the shit out of me. Because that belt has lost luster ever since Finn Balor held it, and only been hot potatoing with Lashley when Leo Rush was still his manager, And then Seth Rollins held it and Dean Ambrose had that shitty feud back from last December. And now it is 2019. We are near the end of the year. Dude, I'm telling you, man, I haven't remembered a title defense for the Intercontinental title on pay-per-view since WrestleMania. It is now, we are near Survivor Series. We're several hours, we are under 24 hours before Survivor Series, bro. And I'm telling you right now, I don't remember a title match. I saw Nakamura versus Finn Balor, and Finn Balor just lost it on kickoff back at Extreme Rules. Come on, really? Sami Zayn did have something to present for something for the new era, and I thought it was the right time to actually change the belt. It actually looks decent. It looks something to fixate on. It does look a bit off in a certain sense, but the gold and black really works for it. It actually looks like a different change of pace. It's going to take a while for me to get used to the belt because I'm not used to only two side plates on the Intercontinental Championship. So that's a bit interesting. I thought it was going to retrofy the oval-shaped Intercontinental Championship they kept from 99 to like 2011 until Cody Rhodes changed it. So it was a bit interesting. It was nice. It then accumulated to everybody coming along, baby faces. We forgot Sami Zayn is still a heel, I guess. Then it accumulated to the Undisputed Era tagging in a tag team match against the New Day and Heavy Machinery coming out. And Kofi Kingston promoing it around with his generic babyface promo, and they came up to a 8-man tag. That there was deception somehow after these guys been babyfacing and doing these backstage promos for the last several weeks. So this must be antagonizing a feud later on after Survivor Series, but it wasn't that much. Same thing we got. Biggie Langston doing power moves, a big running knee to a leg sweep. No, I think it was an elbow to a leg sweep from O'Reilly and Fish. I think Panama Sunrise. I think there was a Panama Sunrise on Kofi Kingston. Undisputed Era won via pinfall. And Styles and OC came and attacked Nakamura and everybody else, and it started going to a huge brawl fest. So it was interesting at least. Daniel Bryan came up earlier and just referenced the promo from last week with Daniel Bryan demanding a Universal title match against Bray Wyatt come Survivor Series. So that's So that's going to be 3 World Championship title defenses. There is going to be a triple threat match for Damian Priest, Pete Dunne, and Killian Dane at at War Games to see who will face off against Adam Cole for the NXT title. Instead of Tommaso Ciampa challenging, if he gets a team for War Games, he gets a shot for the NXT title. And if Adam Cole's team loses, he loses the NXT title. But that won't build up momentum. Thanks, they both got to show up for Survivor Series. So whatever. Then we had Bryan just bring it up, and it just came with Daniel Bryan, Miz interfering, just to feud up with Daniel Bryan and saying that he's vulnerable, cutting off the. These guys are tremendous in promos when they're really emotional, but I know Miz is more superior in the promo department. He's more emotional. He got more experience, and he actually had more of the accolades to show for it. It was an alright match. We know the Miz ended up in no contest. It ended up in no contest for a match. It was going alright, just clothesline, a bit of chain wrestling, and then they just ended in a no contest. From Bray Wyatt sort of interfering. And just continuing to brawl for it, and then blah blah blah. That was it. That was it. So that was interesting, at least. Then we had Billy attempt to attack Shayna Baszler from behind wearing her regular street clothes, and then beats the shit out of her because Shayna Baszler can actually kill a bitch. Calling out Shayna Baszler back from a backstage interview. and calling her out to fight 1-on-1, and it just broke up to a huge little brawl fest. And she just got Katrina Clutch's her little rip off of the Katrina Clutch and hit to the barricade while Bailey just leaves because obviously she can't be in a real fight. And then it ended up to our main event being a 6-man tag. And will the babyface win the 6-man tag? Because this has nothing to do with a storyline or feud, just for Survivor Series reasons? Yes, they will. They always will. They always will. There's no doubt about it. Over my time watching this, I just proved how cancerous 6-man tags can be, just like Roman Reigns. That was a fucked up shot, but Jesus Christ. That was a fucked up shot. But other than that, the match was alright. Bobby Roode did a big ass spinebuster from the outside to reverse Mustafa Ali. Big Superman punches on both Corbin and Ziggler. And this came off backstage before Sami Zayn came in and intervened in their conversation with Ziggler. Ziggler looked like he wanted to fuck his sister, wearing a cap looking musty with an aftershave and a no sleeve tee, while Bobby Roode just looks like Bobby Roode. Robert Roode! And just having an match. There was a toss from the outside. Shorty G was just chalked on the commentary table. There were some alright moves to call, but other than that, this had nothing to do with anything. It was still an inter-brand. It was still just a SmackDown 6-man tag. Why didn't you just leave the 6-man tag for the Undisputed Era? Or anybody else on NXT? Thanks, this has been or just SmackDown versus Raw. Thanks, we know NXT is going to be in the Survivor Series match to begin with, so it doesn't really matter if you do a SmackDown versus Raw 6-man tag. It just makes Corbin, Roman, and Nakamura against the Raw superstars. So, the OC or something. Like, come on. Who really cares at this point? You're making this show, I'm supposed to care. At least do something that's going to build up a bit of hype. Because the stage looked the same. You had the Chicago fans all riled up because it all accumulated into a brawl with NXT superstars. Keith Lee did a big pop-up Liger bomb on Montez Ford and made him bounce like a fucking gefilte fish. Braun Strowman came shoulder tackle, then these guys kept beating the shit out of each other. Everybody kept doing shit around the back. And what really got me really pissed off was some of the flailing punches coming from Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins when they could barely even look like they were about to punch. And then it just cuts. There was also, I saw on YouTube that they did something off screen with DX coming in. This is Road Dogg, Hunter, and Michaels trying to fake lead Corbin into the group because we are obviously making fun of what's supposedly our top heel in the company. And then he gets treated like shit. He got treated like shit against Becky Lynch and The Rock. Now he gets treated like shit against Triple H, Road Dogg, and Shawn Michaels. That was supposedly supposed to support the future. And there's no other typical like attributes that make Baron Corbin a reliable source for the company or even over at this case. Because they roast his accolades, even his Money in the Bank briefcase cash in that he failed to accomplish. He failed to become WWE champion on multiple occasions, and all he has to live by is being a U.S. champion and an Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner, and it never pushes up anybody's career. I think people forgot that Bray Wyatt won it, and at least he became Universal Champion, but in what cost? Thanks the belt is already like a butt fumble, and the stakes that you actually care about the Universal title's prestige. Thanks most of these guys suffer from injuries, are relevant from the company, or are doing better things, like Lesnar and Moxley. So, no, Moxley didn't win it, and Owens just leaves. So I don't really get it. And then it just ended to a brawl. Like, what do we just not get a storyline on SmackDown? I mean, the only positive I found was a bit of the 6-man tag, the brawl, the big brawl coming from from Sasha, from Bailey and Shayna Baszler. Even though Shayna Baszler actually went to face, but with Becky Lynch, we didn't see a brawl with that. Could have been cool to build up more of a pop. I thought we were going to see CM Punk thinks he's literally on Fox. It's literally his hometown. I'm shocked that he didn't even make a one-off appearance in the crowd for a big pop or a guest commentator on one of the matches. I'm shocked. This could have been a big go-home show to hype up what's going to happen on Survivor Series. I don't even care if CM Punk wrestles. I just care if he appears so we can actually build up some actual ratings. This could have built up some potential, but the only positive I actually liked was the change of the Intercontinental title. None of these interested me. I know this was just a ratings ploy just to have everybody brawl like it has been for the last 3 shows. NXT had a big brawl. Raw for the last 3 weeks had big brawls happen. And Keith Lee was the main joy thanks he's fat and he can do a top con hello without any complaints. I wanted to do NXT War Games NXT Takeover War Games, but that might take a bit later, like Tuesday or Wednesday or Monday. So please be patient. I still have a lot of stuff to deal with, but this show ain't one of them anymore. Thank you for watching, and for God's sakes, someone stop Bailey's haircut. Looking like that bitch from Space Chimps. I swear to God. Oh man, this show should have been way better. I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 10. There wasn't really that much into this show, other than like NXT coming up with the stupid little fake tank and the Intercontinental Championship in like one match that actually ended in a legit finish. No one really cared about the triple threat match. So thank you for watching. Raw was better than SmackDown this week, at least.